Arsenal versus Manchester United is a fixture that always brings back memories and the same kind of compilations you see used on Sky Sports and BT Sport all the time, every time we play each other. And they've not been able to put across too many positive ones about Arsenal of late. But that changed earlier on in the season when Arsenal went to Old Trafford for the first time since 2006 and won, which was an it's just a great achievement. It was a wonderful raw reaction show that we did after that. The dancing was back in the videos. And I'm sure you remember that fondly. But both teams are in very different stages than what they were at the same point last year. And now Man United looked to be title contenders until they were beaten last night by Sheffield United, which put a few more doubts. Not necessarily a few more doubts, but maybe a slam back to reality of what Man United are still. And Arsenal turned their form significantly since that single win in 10 games. We're going to talk all about that and more in today's preview show, where I'm also going to be joined by two guests. So let's crack on with it. Hello and welcome to the Google Talk. Back again with you guys for another show. I'm joined by Dan once again. How you doing, mate? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you and everyone in the chat? I hope they're all well.
Yes, very good, mate. Very good. This is becoming a regular thing for you now, doing these preview shows, which is good to see. Of course, Dan is one of our expert members, as is Ojo's making his debut. How you doing, mate? Are you well?
Yeah, Tom. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Of course, if you would like to help support the channel and get the opportunity to come onto the show, then you just have to join up as an expert member or a TGT ambassador, and you could be here, me and the guys, and joining our Discord server, which is by far the best Arsenal community in the world, it's probably fair to say, with the amount of nice people that are in that chat talking all day long and debating all day long with each other. But we're here to talk about Man United. Dan, I'll start with you, mate. How are you are you growing with confidence? Did yesterday's humiliating Sheffield United defeat give you more confidence?
I'm not sure if it gave me more confidence. It just gave me something to laugh at yesterday. I thought it was brilliant. And Sheffield United, wow. Well, it's a crazy season. You can expect anything, really. I think that might mean Man United want to come out and win straight away, trying to bounce off that defeat. So I'm not sure whether it will improve their game or not, that defeat last night. It'll be a tough one for them, and I'm sure they want to bounce back as strong as they can, so I'm not sure it's going to be as easy as we may think after that loss.
Yeah, Ojo, are you on board with that? Because losing to Sheffield United is, of course, hilarious, and we will bask in the glory of that defeat as long as we can. But do you think it's going to have an adverse effect in waking them up and make the game against us that much more important for them? Or do you think it doesn't change anything at all?
Oh, well, we know all about losing to Sheffield United. We have the experience.
Very true.
So it makes it even more, joyful to see United facing Sheffield United and losing that way. But looking at how they've played this season, I think they would turn to become even more defensive, which is our greatest weakness. They're going to sit back even a lot more. They'll put Scott McTominay or Fred in the middle and try to hit us on the break. And at this point, we don't have any fast defenders to catch them, as they go through the old FIFA through balls. It's just L1 triangle over the top, and it's an N versus their forwards. I don't expect them to come out and play against us.
No, it's interesting you say that, because Arsenal, the point there about us having kind of slow defenders, and it depends on if Tierney and Bellerin are playing or if Cedric's come in. But our centre-backs, Rob Holding's not the quickest in the world. Gabriel certainly isn't, and neither is his replacement Murray, and their third choice in David Luiz in that position isn't either. But they do have quite a lot of fast forwards in Rashford and Martial and Greenwood if he plays, and James if he plays, all very fast, with obviously Bruno Fernandes feeding them. Is he the guy that you fear the most, Dan? Bruno, if he plays well, United play well is typically how it goes, isn't it?
He does seem to be involved in anything that they do. They've still got players like Rashford and Martial, and maybe Cavani's got quite good movement in the box, but everything seems to go around Bruno. So if Partey can kind of take away Bruno's effect, then we've got a good shout. And I think Partey's job will probably be just to stick on Bruno. And I hope that is what Arteta asks from him, because Bruno is just so effective. Every time I watch him, even yesterday, he was still involved. And I didn't have him in my fantasy, so I was happy that he didn't do anything.
I did have it in my fantasy, but so did everyone else in my league that I'm in, my mini league with some of my mates from home, and most of them captained him. So I was very happy with with how that turned out in the end. And I ended up having a mad week because I had Gundogan in my team. Obviously scored twice for City with Sterling and Cancelo. So I really tripled up on that. I think I've ended up on like 80 something points for this week, which is not too bad. In fairness, so it's nearly more than it's not as many, but it's my double game week was pretty pathetic. So pathetic that it was nearly matched by this single game week. Anyway, Ojo. The other kind of areas of United which is interesting to look at is obviously their defence. You talked about how you thought they were going to be setting up more defensively. Maguire being there, they've got Lindelof and they can bring in Tuanzebe, who had a horrific game against Sheffield United, it's fair to say. And then on the right-hand side, they've got obviously the stalwart, which is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. On the left-hand side, they played Telles, but I'm kind of expecting Shaw to probably come in for the game against us. And then De Gea in goal. And while you say that you expect them to sit up more defensively, there is quite a lot of players that have got a couple of mistakes in them. De Gea himself has got a ricket in him or two. And then you've got Tuanzebe, as we talked about. Lindelof, whether he's fit or not, comes in. Maguire's not really justified that £80 million signing fee. So do you think there is the advantage or the ability for Arsenal to utilise and take advantage of some of those errors in that backline?
Looking at them this season, or even from last season, their defenders seem to struggle whenever the balls are played between the centre back and the fullbacks. So if we go back to our old style of trying to cross the ball from the outside, it is easy for Lindelof or Maguire. I think Lindelof will start again. So it will be easier for them to defend. But if you pass it between Wan-Bissaka or Lindelof, or pass it between Shaw and Maguire, then they get confused. And also, most of the time, if you're crossing it from the right flank, you see Wan-Bissaka is trying to press into the almost near the penalty spot, trying to double up on the striker coming in. So if we have an overload on that side, hopefully Pepe, like how he took a position up against Southampton, he ran between the fullback and the centre back, and Wan-Bissaka is good at tackling, but he's not good positioning. So if you put him on the outside of yourself,
Oh, have we lost? Oh, I froze for a second there. I don't know if that was just me. Was that just me?
I think it was me as well.
Oh, okay, right. We've all frozen. That's absolutely fine. Ojo, I heard pretty much everything that you said there regarding Aaron Wan-Bissaka specifically towards the end, and his positioning being a bit of an issue. And if it depends kind of who we play on that left-hand side, which we'll come on to in a second regarding our lineup. Let's get your thoughts in the chat box as well before we do that. So Ans14 says, I'm worried about Man United's reaction on Saturday. We need all 11 players on top of their game. No passengers. Matt Thornton says, I can see United dropping deep as well, agreeing with Ojo there, and trying to catch up. Jesus Christ. And trying to catch us on the counter like they did against Liverpool. The Brotherhood says, the question is, who do you think partners holding at the back? And that is something as we're going to answer as we come into talking about Arsenal's lineup, which we're going to do right now. Now, this, of course, is how I would like to see us set up. There's a couple of changes from the game against South. Happy to see is sitting in that right back position over Hector Bellerin. Tierney, with fingers crossed, praying that he comes back. And Arteta didn't really fulfill many people with confidence as to whether he would or would not be back. We'll have to wait and see on there. Gabriel coming in for Luiz in the left centre-back spot. And Pepe keeping his place, keeping Martinelli on the bench, and everything else is the same. We'll have, hopefully, Erdegaard as well available for us, sitting on the bench, maybe to come on in the later part of the game and have an impact. But, Dan, how do you feel about that 11? And would you make any changes?
I wouldn't be surprised to see David Luiz back in there. I know he didn't have the best game, but I actually saw a stat today that out of everyone who's played I think 750 minutes or something, he hasn't been dribbled past,
Right.
which surprised me. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him. Also, Smith Rowe and Partey, we're not 100% sure they are fit. I'm sure. I hope they are, and I hope they play. Tierney as well. But in terms of if they were fit, I think that's the team I would like to see.
Yeah. Ojo, would you make any tweaks or changes? You talked about Wan-Bissaka. Do you think Pepe is the right choice to play at left wing against him?
As long as making the same kind of runs, so running between the fullback and the centre back, and I think we have a chance against their defence. And even I think, Gabriel, I don't think it is a good idea to start Gabriel against United because it's after the COVID situation is very off form. I would rather have David Luiz there just to keep the back line stable. And also David can play the passes through there into the final.
That's really interesting that both of you are kind of talking about David Luiz in a positive way. I've listened to a couple of podcasts in kind of reaction to the previous game against Southampton, and he was always kind of highlighted amongst them as the weaker link in the team. I see what you guys are saying, and I think the stats, obviously, as Dan, you brought up there, support that argument. And with a lot of technical players at United, having someone that will know the ins and outs of stopping players from getting past him, maybe it would work. And Ojo, you make a really good point about Gabriel's form. There is also the argument to say that the only way to get back into form is obviously to play. But if we use that as a risk and we do play him and he plays as he has done from recovering from COVID, and we might find ourselves in a tricky position. Barlow says, I would rather see Dani Ceballos play over Xhaka. I don't know what this guy has to do to kind of turn the opinions of people. I think Xhaka's been excellent in the games that he's played since coming back from his red card. Dan, do you think that that's a harsh opinion from Barlow at this stage?
I'd probably agree with him, actually.
Here we go.
I've liked the recent performances from Xhaka, although whenever there's great defensive tackles, great passes, there's always a mistake in him. And I think Dani Ceballos kind of drives the midfield a bit more, runs with the ball a bit more. I prefer Ceballos in that position, especially next to Partey, who can dominate that midfield. So I kind of agree with Xhaka being a bit, maybe Ceballos being better, but I'll give Xhaka the benefit of the doubt for now. And I liked the partnership with him and Partey, so I'm happy with Xhaka being in there for now.
Okay. Ojo, are you gonna save me, or are you on the Xhaka out camp as well?
I think the only way Xhaka can warm himself up to the fans is if he goes out the Emirates Stadium, get down on his knees, and he takes a picture on the gram, as though he's bowing down for forgiveness. But with regards to this particular match, I don't think putting Dani Ceballos inside in this game would be a good idea because their midfielders tend to press our midfield a lot, especially Fred and McTominay. Dani seems to dwell on the ball a lot. Putting Xhaka and he would keep changing the lines. So he has a very good long ball up to Saka or on the other side. Or even those incisive through balls which he can play. I don't see Dani Ceballos. I haven't seen him play those balls during the season.
Interesting. Sorry. I was going to say, it's like you've kind of both got a tactical difference in opinion in terms of how, Dan, I see what you're saying in terms of progression of the ball moving up the pitch from the Spaniards. But what we've seen from United, as Ojo says, is they like to press high. They like to push up. McTominay, Fred, or Pogba, whoever plays in that double pivot that they've got there, will press our midfield. And if Partey is going to be so occupied in dealing with Bruno, as we kind of hope that he will be during the game, and that'll be his kind of main job when we're out of possession, maybe Xhaka is possibly the right choice to be playing those passes out to the wide areas and moving the ball on quickly. But to help us escape from the back when we are under pressure, possibly Dani Ceballos could be the guy that's more beneficial in that way. So two solid arguments, and we'll find out which one wins in regards to Arteta's team selection on Saturday. The biggest and the key factor for me is interesting to see if Tierney is fit. And Dan, I am going to let you do your weekly rant. It's now becoming, or not rant, but weekly kind of worship, I suppose, of Cedric. Do you think that, obviously, I know you think it's the right choice, but do you think that him being on the right-hand side is going to offer us kind of more than what Bellerin has over the last few weeks or so?
Yeah, I mean, recently Bellerin, I say recently, he he's been a lot more defensive recently, and he still isn't showing what I want in a right back. And Cedric offers that. He offers that good delivery in the box and the overlapping, and even defensively, he offers so much more than Bellerin. And Tierney on the left is just on another level, really. So I'd much rather have Cedric on the right instead of Bellerin than Cedric on the left. I think that's a no-brainer. And yeah, I like the idea of keeping Cedric at right back. He's done nothing wrong, I'd say, to not play against Man United.
Yeah, I think that it was interesting to see him play as kind of the left back again, because I didn't think he had the best of games against Southampton on Saturday, but he was excellent against them on Tuesday. So seeing how he would do at right back in a more comfortable position, switching the play as well was something he did really well on Tuesday. And if he could do that from the right and maybe unleash Pepe or Tierney on the opposite flank, and something we weren't able to see when he's played there previously, it's an option for us, but also getting the ball into the box for Lacazette to attack as well. So there's lots of options that we've got there. To kind of finish off today's show, though, I want to get your thoughts and predictions, as I do you guys in the chat box as well. So if you could get your score lines and thoughts and predictions ahead of Saturday's game, let's throw those into the chat box now. Ojo, I'm going to start with you, mate. I need a score line and a first scorer from you, please.
I think we will win this 3-1.
Scorer?
Every time, I think United to score first. It will be a Bruno Fernandes penalty. He's going to dive in the box, probably Rashford or Cavani, to take a tumble in the box, roll around in the grass, and then Bruno to come and hop in and score the penalty against Leno. United to celebrate for 2 minutes, but then for us to go score 3 goals in the first half.
Awesome. I love it. I mean, to be fair, Arsenal, when they came back against Southampton, it's the first time they've done that in a really long time, has come from behind. So if we were able to do it 2 weeks, like a week in a row, it'd been absolutely incredible. Dan, what are you going for?
Call me stupid, but I'm going for a 4-0 win. I think that...
Dan, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm going... Can you hear me?
I think Dan may have gone. I can't hear him. Is he there?
I can hear that.
Oh, hold on. It might be me. I think it's something wrong with my connection. Sorry, Dan. Go on. I'm sure you were speaking and everyone could hear you. It's just
I was going to say, I'm not being silly. I'm going for a 4-0 win.
Okay. You're not being silly.
Maybe a bit silly. I think that United may, from that Sheffield United loss, I think they might want to come out and really go for it, which might help us and on the counter, especially. And Saka's doing what he's doing. I think am I still there?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
I'd say if we get the first goal, I think that's the most important. And once we do get that goal, we're just going to keep scoring. I could be completely wrong, but I'm hoping I'm right.
As we all could, I mean, to be fair. I'm going to go for I'm going to agree with Ojo and go 3-1 to the Arsenal. I don't think it's going to be in necessarily the same order of goals. I feel like we might get one and get pegged back 1-1 and then have to come back from having an equaliser hit against us and show our mentality. But I feel more confident. You know what makes me feel more confident about this game is because before the other game, I was asked on to about 2 or 3 United channels to have a prediction. No one's asked me this time around, which tells me that United fans are worried. They don't want this Arsenal confidence, and that is a good and positive thing ahead of this game. Let's go to the chat box and see what you guys are saying. Archie says 2-2. RY says 2-1. Robin says 2-1. Matt Thornton says 2-1 to the Arsenal. Chris P, thank you so much for the donation, says the defence and the base of the midfield is looking well balanced right now, which is definitely a plus. Russ Morgan says 2-0. Robin says 2-1. I think we've had that. Top Techers says 2-0 to the Arsenal. Lacazette first scorer. Nana GK says 3-1 Arsenal. MIL reaction 2-1. Come on, you Gunners. Elliot says 2-1 to the Arsenal. Mr. Joe Kerr, 2-1 to us. Penandez is going to score, and then Saka and Cedric. If Cedric scores, I swear to God, I am never going to be able to live it down. Corey says 2-0 to the Arsenal. No sleep, 3-1. Tulip says 4-2 to Arsenal in this one. D. Sean says 2-0 to the Arsenal. Abby Hamanya says 2-0, not being over-optimistic, but I think that we can do this. I love the fact that you're optimistic. It's great. It's absolutely brilliant. Anne says 0-0. Both teams will be defensive. Interesting stuff. Oh, we got a Spurs fan in the chat. Oh, what a shame. See you later. 2-1 says Matthew Hudson. Mr. A says 2-0 Arsenal. Thapello says, I would be more confident if we had lost the Southampton game. You have a weird thought process, Thapello. I don't understand the way of thinking at all. Dawson says 1-0 to the Arsenal. El Neni to score from the bench. That would be a turn up for the books, as would Abuba Sevens 5-0 Arsenal prediction. As Matt Thornton says, if you could hit the like button on today's video, that would be fantastic. Thank you, Dan, for your time this afternoon. Much appreciate your time, mate.
Thank you, as always. It's great being here. And one more thing, I just thought I'd bring up Odegaard. Will he play?
I think that we may see him on the bench. But other than that, I'm not expecting anything more than that, to be honest. Which is why I haven't really talked about him, because I don't want to tempt fate and then him not be there. So, yeah.
Maybe all things going well and a 80-minute substitute or something.
Yes, yeah. Even if it's not, I think even if we need to find a goal, he's someone that you can bring off the bench. But he's been here a few days and he wouldn't have integrated properly. But we have seen some players sign and then go straight. I remember when Monreal signed, I think he signed and then started and the day after. So I think that there is opportunity to see it happen. It depends on his fitness and how sort of up to speed he is. He hasn't played too much football this season, so that might be a factor. And it depends on Emile Smith-Rowe and how fit he is as well as other players. So it'd be interesting to see if he does come in, though. Ojo, do you want to tell people where they can find you on social media? And a massive thank you as well, and a fantastic debut, of course.
Yeah, thank you for having me. From and also, actually, I'd like to change my prediction.
Okay, go for it.
I'm too confident right now, and I don't want my friends to catch me on social media saying stupid stuff like 3-1 and we get battered 4-0 or something. I'm going for a draw. There are two reasons for that. Every time I've predicted a win this season, we have always either lost or drawn that match. So
Ojo, what are you doing, son?
And I think the character of the team is under test. And every time we have a situation where the club or the team has to go out and perform like the Crystal Palace game, we always seem to come short. I hope the team makes me look like an idiot and they go out and batter United. That is my prayer, but I actually think this would be a draw. I think Arteta would try to outthink Ole, and Ole would just show up and do what they normally do, that is to sit back and hit us on the break.
Fair enough. You're entitled to change your minds. We're always open to that on the channel, so fair play. And you do realise that your friends may go back and rewind and watch you say that we won 3-1, even if we don't. So I don't think you've done too well in protecting yourself, but you have said it now, so maybe you're safe. But thank you so much, Ojo. A fantastic debut, and people can find you on Twitter where they can see it on the screen. So much appreciate your time. Go give Ojo a follow. Dan doesn't like to be found. You can find him in the Discord server, though, if you'd like to join up as a member. And as these two guys have, if you join up as an expert member or a TGT ambassador, you can find yourself as they have on today's show. We're trying to get a lot more members onto the channel more regularly by doing these preview shows. As well as the usual expert members podcast. They get exclusive content, they get access to the Discord server, and they get our amazing flying fish emoji in the chat box, obviously, as well, which is an absolute, I mean, it's priceless, but we put a price on it. So join up, help support the channel. We will see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.